What's up, nerds? It's your boy, the OG GM, coming to you live, if a little under the weather. What else is new? Here on a foggy Wednesday morning, 8:30 in the morning, this 24th day of the year, May 2023. It is I, the often imitated but never duplicated wretched OG GM, and it's Wednesday, which means it's time to take a look at all the tabletop role-playing game. Hi, Steve. Print product that should be maybe on the shelves of your friendly local game store. That's if you live near a friendly local game store, and if your friendly local game store actually actively supports tabletop role-playing game, which, according to the latest industry insiders, is getting harder and harder to do. Unless, of course, you are me and you live in a beach town within a 20-minute drive of at least a dozen table-friendly local game stores, none of which actively support role-playing games. In fact, one of our friendly local game stores changed their name so they were not associated with tabletop role-playing. Changed their name to the Mystery Shop, because I guess they're trying to capture the roadside attraction Mystery Shack Gravity Falls fan base as opposed to the comic book role-playing Magic the Gathering fan base. Because I see the word Mystery Shop, and the first thing I think is, yeah, I'm going to go in there and get comic books. No, I see the Mystery Shop, and I'm thinking, okay, so it's another thrift store carrying knickknacks in a city that has 30 billion thrift. There are more thrift stores per square foot here in Ventura than there are businesses that do anything else. So I don't know why you changed your name. Why don't you just actively support role-playing store? But I'm not bitter. So, of course, the top of our tabletop role-playing game product list is this. Wretched Vigilantes is available. It's been available since 9 o'clock yesterday morning, Pacific OGM time. It's available for PDF currently on the Lulu site and the Modent site, and available physical copy sometime later this week. Why am I so excited about this project? I don't know. I mean, no specific reason other than I love superheroes. But I can't think of any reason why I want you to go get this project as opposed to any other project, especially any other project from the Red Room. I don't. Why would I want you to? It's not like I wrote 60% of it. Oh, yeah, I did. What have you done lately? Suck it! I published something. Well, somebody else published something that I made. Well, I made half of it. He did some work. Okay, he did a little work. I did all the work, and he just published the thing. But I don't mean to brag. What have you published lately? Now, moving on to the rest of the tabletop role-playing game news for companies that might have product that we might be able to find on the shelves of our friendly local game store. If we happen to actually have a friendly local game store, we already know this. Some Dungeon Crawl Classic loves from the Breaker Press. Somebody else is stepping into the DCC landscape, and that excites me because I love DCC. I wish more people played and ran DCC. DCC is definitely in my top 5 of fantasy role-playing. I don't know why I love this game. It's unnecessarily complicated, but it's just so ridiculous. That's probably why I love it, because it appeals to the ridiculous, silly, over-the-top, but still devastatingly horrifying aspects of the game that I love. So Breaker Press is bringing us a bunch of softcover zines ranging from $10 all the way to $3. Thank you, Breaker Press, for making product that's available to us that's reasonably priced. These are all DCC-themed zines, all based around a town called the Sternard. The run is called the Sternard Courier. And we have character creation guides, we have some adventures, and we have a general layout of what the world/city of Sternard is. So this is a fantasy small mining town, it looks like. Forestry kind of thing. We've got, settlers who are dealing with the normal everything that people have to deal with out in the wilderness, wild animals, bandits, angry natives, haunted tombs, tentacle monsters, the usual stuff that happens to people when they build, small colonies / towns to cut down trees or mine silver, right? Bandits, wild animals, fires, drunkards, tentacle monsters, alien invasions. Yeah, the usual stuff. That happened in California during the Gold Rush all the time. Totally tentacle monsters. From Skeeter Green Publishing for Mörk Borg, we have some new Mörk Borg stuff. We have the Derelict's Diary and the Derelict's Diary character pack. These are zines again, including a whole bunch of new stuff for both pre-generated characters and making random characters to add up, level up your Mörk Borg world. So people are still making stuff for Mörk Borg. Mörk Borg, for a novelty, it's definitely had a longer run than I ever thought. I mean, what's it, going on 2 years now? So congratulations, Mörk Borg. Who knew you'd be so big? But I guess people just love that idea of just grim, dark, the world's going to end, so what the F style playing. I don't, but it's popular that people do. From Lucid Pen, we have Space Sightings Expanded. This is for space games. It's for system agnostic type space games. It's a $15 product. It's basically generators to generate stuff for space and space type things. So if you are not lucky enough to have Stars Without Number, probably the best OSR OGL space type game generator out there, here's the next best thing, and it's $15. So yeah, random tables, ideas, not a very specific space campaign, just more like here's some tools to help you create your own space campaign if you can't get the good one. From Edge, we have Empires of the Imperium from Twilight Imperium. This is for the Genesis role-playing game. It's $50, and it is a supplement for the Twilight Imperium role-playing game. Did I say empires? Embers of the Imperium. God, my brain lately, guys. Soon I won't be able to form coherent sentences. Aren't you excited about that? This weather, it just saps my ability to communicate, which, as we know, is difficult anyways. If this name sounds familiar to you, it is because Twilight Imperium has been floating around the edges of our world. See, Edge, and the name of the company is Edge. See what I did there? Edges of the tabletop role-playing game world for years. I also think there was a board game, maybe a video game, and possibly a series of books set in the Twilight Imperium universe. So it's definitely, it's one of those systems / worlds that, you have walked past that was on the shelf as you were going to the stuff you actually wanted when you're at your tabletop role-playing game store. My example store, of course, Seth's, because that's where I lived for 15 some odd years. Here's all the companies I've heard of. Here's all the D&D stuff. Here's all the Pathfinder stuff. Here's all the GURP stuff. Here's all the Champion stuff. Here's all the obscure stuff. And then here's Twilight Imperium. And as you're walking towards the D&D stuff, your brain subconsciously acknowledges that that's out there. Oh, look, there's Twilight Imperium. I don't know what that is, but it's so if the Twilight Imperium sounds familiar, it has been out there for a long time. It's always sort of floating on the tail end, but it's consistent, which is something to say in this day and age. From Square Hex, isn't there a company called Square Enix? Yeah, I don't know if you can use their names, but whatever. We have the Sorcerer's Enclave. This is a hardcover supplement for $50, and it deals with a secret enclave where wizards go and hang out and can discuss magic stuff without fear of other wizards killing them. A neutral ground, so to speak, where Fred the Necromancer and Steve the Life Mage can get together, share a few drinks, swap a few stories, and not worry about the two of them trying to kill each other. $50 for a neutral ground. Doesn't say what system it is, so art book, OGL, OSR, system agnostic thing for $50. From WRKS Games, we have Curse of the Orlong. There's a WRKS channel. It's a radio channel, and there's a WRKS professional role professional wrestling review channel, guys. So you might want to rethink your name. Now, obviously, the professional wrestling fan channel can't really go after you, but WRKS is the call sign for a radio station. So yeah, you might want to check, because the FCC is pretty hard over people using call signs for radio stations for other things. Now, I know you're trying to get works, and WRKS probably means something. It's like the anagram for like world record Kickstart games. I don't know. Anyways, for Jordanheim the RPG, they've released Curse of the Oolong. It's an adventure set in the world of Jordanheim for $30. What is the world of Jordanheim? Oh, that's another extremely obscure tabletop role-playing game, fantasy game, vaguely Viking-esque, if I remember correctly. Viking. It's another Viking. It's actually, I think, one of the earliest tabletop role-playing games that tried to embrace Viking fantasy, Norse fantasy, Viking punk. Sure, why not? Liminal Viking. Yeah, if you guys can use punk and add it to any game, I'm using liminal and adding it to any game. So this is Liminal Viking fantasy adventures, and these guys have made a supplement for an obscure game that nobody plays. But good luck to you guys. And finally, from Mophidius for Achtung Cthulhu 2D20, we have Forest of Fear. This is a $50 hardcover adventure for Achtung Cthulhu. World War II meets Lovecraft horror. What more could you want? Achtung Cthulhu 2D20 is from Mophidius, Mofufudus, Muffalafatus, and it's set in the world of Achtung Cthulhu. So yeah, little pricey, but if you're following the Achtung Cthulhu line, then this might be something you want to add to your library if you can find a copy of it. How come everybody and their dog can just make shit using Lovecraft, OGGM? Well, that's because Billy, H.P. Lovecraft never copyrighted his stuff. He let other people use Cthulhu and the Lovecraftian Miskatonic stuff in their stories, in their books, in their art. It was, Cthulhu Lovecraft was one of the very first open source settings during the pulp ages. You could have, Doc Savage and the Shadow fighting Cthulhu, and then the group of pulp writers were all like handshake deal. So yeah, the Lovecraft family never got around to copywriting it. So Cthulhu's open source. So if you are desperate for a tabletop role-playing game or any subject to make a product about, you can always go Lovecraft. That's it for all the physical product that should be on the shelves of your friendly local game store. If your friendly local game store actually actively supports tabletop role-playing games, obviously $3 for a Dungeon Crawl Classic setting. You can't go wrong with that. $15 for a random space generator that's trying to give you a chance to explore what the best random space generator, Stars Without Numbers, also did better, but it's almost impossible to find a copy of that. Yeah. And just, tip of the hat to these guys. Tip of the hat to Works Game for making a product for a role-playing game literally probably no one's ever played. So extra points to you guys, because when was the last time you ever heard Jordanheim, the role-playing game, brought up in a conversation about our hobby, much less heard anybody playing it? And just wondering how much longer the Mörk Borg train can run. I mean, it's lasted longer than I expected. So obviously there's still an audience. So that's going to be an interesting experiment to see how much further into the world of role-playing Mörk Borg can go. That's it. If any of those sound like something you want to pick up, head on over to your friendly local game store. But before you do, call ahead to make sure they carry it. And then it's not like where I live, where the friendly local game store literally changed its name so it didn't have to be associated with the hobby, because that's clever thinking. I'm the OG GM. You know what to do. Head on over to the Red Room and pick up your copy of the PDF of Wretched Vigilantes, or the physical copy that'll be available next week, and support your OG GM and the Red Room by picking this book up that I helped write. About 50%, 60%, 80%. Well, okay, I wrote the whole thing and he just edited it. Actually, I'm not even sure what he did. It should just have my name on it. Wretched OG GM. Maybe. Actually, yeah, he did most of the work. Till next time.